Welcome to the Saul's Newsstand News Review for February 7th, 2020. Fox News reports, Trump proudly displays acquitted headlines mere feet from Pelosi at prayer breakfast. President Trump proudly displayed two newspapers with blaring acquittal headlines Thursday morning, waving them before a national prayer breakfast audience in the first appearance since he was declared not guilty in his Senate impeachment trial. The president brandished the headlines mere feet from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi after both arrived at the breakfast. He later addressed the audience and took some not-so-subtle swipes at Pelosi once more. During his remarks, the president said, "I don't like people who use their faith as justification for doing what they know is wrong. Nor do I like people who say, 'I pray for you,' when you know that is not so." Pelosi had publicly said during the impeachment process that she and fellow Democrats were, quote, prayerful, and that she prays for the president. President Trump also called impeachment a, quote, terrible ordeal by some very dishonest and corrupt people. The Senate acquitted Trump on Wednesday of both articles of impeachment against him, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, following a weeks-long trial. An article from The Hill states, Pence, Pelosi ripping up Trump's State of the Union speech was a new low. Vice President Pence on Wednesday took aim at Speaker Nancy Pelosi after she ripped up a copy of President Trump's State of the Union speech following his address Tuesday evening. Pelosi later told reporters that tearing the speech was, quote, the courteous thing to do considering the alternatives. She also went on to say, it was such a dirty speech. In an appearance on Fox and Friends, the vice president said he, quote, wasn't sure if she was ripping up the speech or ripping up the Constitution when he saw Pelosi's gesture. The vice president added, I didn't see her do it. I found out just a few moments later, and I thought it was a new low. Pelosi's actions came after it appeared the president ignored the speaker's attempt to shake his hand at the beginning of the speech. The speech took place weeks after the House impeached Trump on charges of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. It also came one day before the GOP-controlled Senate exonerated the president of the impeachment charges. And finally, another article from The Hill reports, Trump bashes Medicare for all in swipe at Sanders. President Trump took a shot at Democrat presidential candidate Bernie Sanders, declaring at his annual State of the Union address, quote, we will never let socialism destroy American health care. The president went on to say, quote, 132 lawmakers in this room have endorsed legislation to impose a socialist takeover of our health care system, wiping out the private health insurance plans of 180 million Americans, he said in a slam of the health care reform bill dubbed Medicare for All. Trump pledged to those watching at home that he would never let it happen. Three of the leading Democratic candidates for president, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and former Vice President Joe Biden, have said undocumented immigrants should be covered under a government-run health care plan. Elizabeth Warren said at a health care forum in November, quote, Medicare for All, as I put this together, covers everyone, regardless of immigration status. And that concludes your Saul's Newsstand News Review for February 7th, 2020. For more political news faster, visit saulsnews.com.